some people, there's always this debate. Do you pull on the handle or do you throw the club head? And there's always this debate. Well, some people, you tell them to throw the club head, throw it hard, and what they do is they do this in order to get energy in the club head so they could throw it harder. So they create this motion just so they could throw the club head harder down here. Okay. And a lot of people say, well, see, you're not throwing the club head, you know, because you're not doing this. Well, yeah, they are. What they're doing is they're getting their body in position to throw the club head, and then they throw it as soon as they can. But the athlete in them tells them to get this first. Okay. Now, some people, you tell them to throw the club head, and they go something like that. Because they're going, see, the club head's moving. Yeah. But they're not really throwing it hard. They're actually sort of guiding the club head out there. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So to throw the club head hard, you got to get some energy into this. You've got to get some force in the handle so that you can get energy here so that you can throw it harder. You see what I'm saying? So if I get up to the top and I'm going to throw this thing hard down, I had to have some pull down on that handle. I had to create what's called a moment force in this handle so that I can get force into the club and into the club head so I could smash with that sucker. All right? So and that's what you're trying to feel now. You're trying to get the sense of how do I go up, get that. Force into that club head so I can smash. Now, that was a good smashing move. Yeah. I didn't get up at all, yeah. You know, because I was thinking so much about the force and the smash that I didn't allow myself to get up. Now, again, if I go back to that sense of how do I create speed, like with the rope, like, you know, keeping my core tight here, and I'm gonna get that sense of now using my arms to create a force into this handle. Okay, and once I do that, I just stand up from that. And look how simple that was. Yeah. I mean, that thing was smashed and launched. Yep. And it wasn't a matter of using a lot of motion in the body, you know, big, gross movements, so to speak. Mm-hmm. It was more of a sense of I'm pressuring, I'm using my core, and I actually feel myself sort of pull up against that, just like that surgical tubing that we talked about in the backswing, right? So I feel like pulling up, and then in the downswing, I feel like I'm pulling against the surgical tubing up here to get that sense. Now from here, I'm loaded, and I can just smash and stand up as much as I want. So in your case, instead of just trying to make the club head go fast, you actually have to feel like you've got a pulling motion first. You got to get the force into the handle, into the club. Now, once you have the force, then you can smash that thing as hard and as fast as you want, okay? So just to get that image again, go up. So there was a force being pulled down. Once I had the force in the handle, wham, I'm just unhinging it and smashing that as soon as I can. And my body's just standing up and finishing just to finish it off. Okay? And you're standing up against it in your training swing. A lot of people say, oh, that's too late. But what they really don't get is, in your case, boom. At this point, you need to have the force in the handle. Right. Now the lever delivery action is happening, okay? As soon as the lever delivery action is happening, you are actually pressuring in the ground and using the pressures in your body to start posturing up against this so that at this point you can have a full pull away. The posturing up, as far as the physics is concerned, is starting right here. Now we don't see it On video, again, we see it way later than it happens, and then that's why on video people argue, see, it's too late. But the reality is, again, is that when I'm doing this exercise and I'm pressuring into the ground, and I'm going to have that force initiated, now all I'm going to do is, I'm going to do that. And it doesn't look like a big move. It looks like most of it is after impact. But it was initiated right here. The force was initiated here, and the bigger movements of what that motion looks like happen later. The reason is force creates motion. The force has to happen first, and then we see the body move later. Okay? So that's that sense again. Again, we can see how effortless that is.
Right.
Very, very simple. You saw a lot of this in the end.
Right.
But it actually, as soon as I felt this, my intention was to move in that direction, and I was creating the forces to move me there. But we see most of the motion after we've initiated it. Okay? To baseball or softball, because you played a lot of softball. You know, so you've got the bat in your hands, you got all the stuff going on. You get in position, right?
Yes.
Now, there's the step, and somewhere right in here, you're starting to put force into the handle. You're preparing for that same move. You see what I'm saying?
I don't think I had that move, but yes, I see that.
Well, I mean, everybody did. If you played it and you had solid shots, you know, because you were able to create power in softball more than you were in golf, right?
Yes.
And when I first met you, I saw you trying to apply a lot of the softball to the golf. So I remember, you know, what I saw. But there's this sense of this moving the handle into a position where you actually can create force through the handle, okay? And once you're in that position where you can create force through the handle, wham, then the delivery comes into play. So, I mean, the same thing's happening here in golf. Is that somewhere in the transition, you're trying to create enough force into that handle. Again, you got the pressure in the ground, you got your body posturing. You know, again, I talk about 3 zones of action. Arm swing, right? Body pivot, and how we pressure into the ground. And in the very beginning, we worked a lot on arm swing and just getting the club face on the ball, right? Just being consistent with that. You know, and then we talked about the shape of your arm swing so you could be an on-top golfer. And then we worked a lot on the body posturing, you know, and the jump squat feels and how do we use the body. And we call it a pivot, but it's not just turning. We have verticals in there also. But so we worked a lot on the body. And with the rope, we're working a lot on the ground force. So those are the 3 areas of action that we're looking for. Ultimately, they blend together. So I'm creating pressure into the ground. I'm creating that posture I need dynamically. Now the swing goes up. You go over the falls. Once you're over the falls, you're pulling down on this sucker. And once you've pulled down, you got all the force into the handle. Now from here, now the body's posturing up. Yeah. And as we're delivering that swing, we're posturing up, and then we just finish it off, okay? But it's applying the force into the handle first, and once you have the force, now you're into delivery, and once you're into delivery, then we're finishing it off. So those are sort of in the transition or downswing, those are sort of those 3 zones, you know, or 3, you know, segments of the swing. So force into the handle, posture up, finish it off. Again, very, very effortless. You see that? But right now, with the rope swinging and in your transition, what we want to now improve is how do we get the force into the handle right? Yeah, consistently get that feel. Because that's where, when you do it, you go, wow, look at that. How'd that happen? You don't recognize the difference between the ones where you really apply force into the handle properly, you know, and you know, the ones that you don't, where you kind of are waving at it, and fanning at it. By getting better ground force, you know, by having better engagement in your core as you're doing this, and now by learning how to get some force into the handle and still do everything else we talked about, you know, because most of that's habit now, you're going to get more of those zippy shots. So again, I get the good dynamic posture, pressure into the ground, I stretch it up, you know, just like that surgical tubing. I create force into the handle until here. From here, all I'm trying to do is do everything else that we've worked on up to this point. You see what I'm saying? So really, we're just trying to refine the transition because that's what you're doing when you play your best shots. We got to get that force into the handle, in the transition. So you can get those really enjoyable, high launching, straight, zippy shots that go right where your finish was aimed.
So in theory, if I wasn't doing that before, bringing the force down with the hand.
Well, you've done it from time to time,
but not
because
on a
we worked
consistent-
on that.
Uh-huh.
But you know, we've also said that, look, you can't go straight down. You need to
Right.
go a little out because you're narrow wide.
Uh-huh.
So you need to have a little bit of out before you
Okay.
come down. Well,
Okay.
at times that you've worked on the outward part, you start going like this.
Yeah.
And at the times that you're working on the downward part, the force is actually good, but you don't have enough of this, so you get a little steep.
Okay.
You see? In your case, you know, once you've got the over the falls, so you're over the falls this way, we're actually doing this.
Yes.
You see how if my left arm was bent, it's going to go straight, which widened it, but at the same time I'm pulling down. And this is it. Once you're right here, you're ready to go wham, smash it.
Okay.
Okay?